Good morning, everybody, and welcome inside the Spotlight Omaha podcast, where we take you around the city of Omaha, introduce you to local business owners, influential figures, and people who are making an impact on our community. We are brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. If your business could benefit from social media marketing, website design, or engaging your business online, Pixel Fire Marketing can help out with all that. Head over to pixelfiremarketing.com for more details today. Joining me inside of the Pyramid Contractor studio is Tony Ellsworth with Ellsworth Crossing. Tony, thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks for having me, Jimmy. I appreciate that.
I think this is really the first time that we've really stepped outside of the city of Omaha for an interview. Can you tell us a little bit about what Ellsworth Crossing is and what you guys are doing to help the community?
Sure. We're not that far out. We're by Two Rivers. So we do a farm to fork market. And if nobody's heard of, or if you haven't heard of what a farm to fork market is, we have 100 Nebraska farmers that all raise holistically and humanely, all under one roof. Many people go into the farmers markets. That season's just ended. I always tell people we've got a roof and heat, so we just keep going. So we're open all year round. We're open Monday through Saturday every week. I'm born and raised in Nebraska, so I believe in the Nebraska small farmer. And if you come in there, you're going to get a greeting, and we'll answer all the questions you have. But like I said, it's holistically and humanely raised food right here in Nebraska.
The farmers market aspect of it is really interesting to me. Is that kind of the approach when we talk about taking it from the farm to somebody's table? Was that the process around when you guys opened up the store and thought about, hey, how do we make sure that we could take the farmers market appeal to it and make it year round in a place where the climate obviously isn't controllable?
Right. I guess I just give a little backdrop to it. It's one of the feel-good COVID stories, I guess. The business started in 2020. So we originally bought it from Plum Creek Chicken. A lot of people are familiar with Plum Creek Chicken. They provide to a lot of your Omaha and Lincoln high-end restaurants. And then COVID, of course, suppressed the restaurants. So originally the farmers, which are from Bertrand, Nebraska, kind of down by Beatrice, they opened up the store to still get their chicken out to the public during that time frame. And we were farm families together. They had my wife, Amber, manage the store. And 2 months into the venture, Dean, the dad, says, hey, Tony, what do you think about just buying this from me? So he knew my background. I'm fourth-generation Nebraska ag, have my own small farm. We start off with about 10 Nebraska farmers that all raise holistic and humane. Now we have up over 100. So I grew up running around central western Nebraska with my dad and granddad. I believe in the raising practices of the small Nebraska farmer. And so that aspect I knew. What I was pretty ignorant to at the time was my wife had a nursing background. She got fibromyalgia, which kind of knocks you off your feet.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she went to what I'm just going to call mainline doctors. And the mainline doctors wanted to prescribe pharmaceuticals and such, so kind of give you the numbness, the fuzzy brain, and all the side effects that you see on TV. She wasn't too nuts about that. So what she did was go to what's called functional medicine, and my silly way to describe that is you are what you eat. Let's not do pharmaceuticals. So our family was kind of on this path through my wife before we even owned the store. And then when I was the late arriver, so finally I listened to what she was saying, got in there, and there is science to it. So he did a blood test. When I first took my blood test, my heart, liver, kidney was not in the right category. I was pre-diabetic. And then just through food, a year later, heart, liver, kidney, no longer pre-diabetic. And so I became a believer. So we were doing this on our own farm, Jimmy, and then like I just described with the Plum Creek Chicken, we ran across this opportunity. And so I moved from corporate America. Sure. And
what did you do? What did you do before you guys opened the store?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I've lived in Nebraska all my life, except my time in the military. We got Veterans Day coming up. So
what branch did you serve in?
I was Navy.
Thanks for service.
Yep, you bet. And I've also worked down at Offutt Air Force Base. I graduated high school, Fort Callhoun. Our farm now is south, so that's north. Now I'm south in the Springfield area. Schramm Park is where our small farm is. But I've worked at several places in Omaha. So I've worked at Kiewit. I worked for Joe and Pete at Ameritrade. Worked at Offutt Air Force Base, First Data, and whatnot. So my roots are here in Nebraska. I love the local Nebraska aspect. A lot of people come in. That's what they love. One thing they love about the store is supporting local and local farmers. Obviously met you through
absolutely.
Justin and Joe Clute and Nebraska Star Beef
shout
out in
Nebraska Star
Holdridge.
Beef. Yep, friends of the show.
Yep. So Nebraska is the biggest, Omaha's the biggest small town, and a lot of people word of mouth and get to know each other that way.
Walk me through what the process with the farmers looks like, because obviously you don't want to exclude anybody, and you obviously want to make sure that you're building strong relationships, because they kind of put they're the in between the table and the fork, right? So, how do you decide who to work with? What does that relationship sound like, and how did it come about?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, I think that's one of the most unique things that we do. And we've done a YouTube video on it or two, because it's a big question that people have right now. So thanks for bringing that up. So as I had mentioned before, we start off with I inherited about 10 farmers from Plum Creek Chicken. And we did have to go through a process there and decide. So when I first started, there were things that I wanted to target in the store that I knew people would like. We were looking for a pork provider. We looked for lamb. I wanted some more beefs, this sort of thing. So every farmer that we meet, and I don't know anybody else who goes to this level of detail, but every farmer that I have in the store, and as I just mentioned, we have over 100 now, but it's all source validated through personal relationship, Jimmy. So each of these people, I know them personally. They've been on my farm. I go out to their farm. I'm looking at feeding practices. I'm looking at raising practices. So on our farm, we treat our animals like they're humans.
Sure.
Humane. That's the humane part of it, right? So just to give you an example, like our chickens, and my kids go out and they do, they feed them and they do the hay and this sort of thing. And they know they're going to get their butts chewed. If I go out there, I'm like, would you want to live in those conditions? They scrub the waters. And it's the quality of feed. So it's the quality of care, and they need sunlight. Jimmy Dean, the dad that I bought the store from Plum Creek Chicken, his simple saying was, happy animal, healthy animal. So just think of it in humane terms, and it's not really that different. If you have humans and we have sunlight and grass and you're outside, if you're crunched into really poor conditions and you don't have just the basics that you need, you're not gonna be nearly as healthy. So when I'm looking at these farmers, when I'm interviewing them and talking to them, and like I said, I'm 4th generation Nebraska ag, and I've been raised here, so I'm asking them those types of questions. So that's on the health side. And the second part of it too, Jimmy, is I'm an avid griller and smoker. Before I even owned the store, I would go to the specialty meat stores and this sort of thing. So I have them give me chuck roasts, steaks, ground beef, this sort of thing. And then I take my time and I do those things and prepare them and taste them. And a lot of people go, that must be a hard job. Because I'm doing the steaks and the chuck roasts and stuff. And I go, well, actually,
we enjoy it.
I say, actually, it is, because I say no. And that's that's the hardest part of my job. So everything that we do have in the store, we vouch for personally and have that personal relationship with all those 100+ farmers and producers, because I've met them. I know their raising and feeding standards. And the other thing that we do, we like to have a transparent process. Again, I don't know anybody else who does this, but if you watch on Facebook, Instagram, this sort of thing, I have one of the farmers in every Saturday. So as you know, and of course, referencing how we met, but Justin and Joe Clute from Nebraska Star Beef, we had them in. So I interviewed them. I knew that they're good producers, but any one of our customers, they can come in. They could talk to Justin and Joe themselves. My pork farmer here, he's coming up. Some of the farmers, which really fun, is they even will bring their animals. So my longhorn farmer, he's from Wisner, Nebraska. We had a longhorn right out in front. In fact, last Saturday we had a petting zoo. One of our farmers brought in. And a lot of what we do is education. And what I want people to be able to do is see and understand where their food comes from and why this is healthy and why they're not going to get that from your traditional grocery store.
I can't help but notice when you talk about meeting farmers, being from Nebraska, living in Fort Callhoun. Buying a Nebraska-owned business before putting your own name on it. There's a sense of pride there. Where does that come from?
Yeah, my family's got that background. So, like I said, we're 4th generation Nebraska ag. My grandfather actually owned Briggs Pump Company. And it's a little more on the plumbing side now. But what they originally did was windmills and irrigation systems for
Very
farmers.
Nebraskan, yeah.
Yep. So I grew up that way. And as I mentioned before, the one part I was ignorant to that my wife was so smart on was the healthcare aspect. I'm like any other guy out there. I'm like allergic to doctors. Tony, you want to go to the doctor? Heck no. But she went to, like I said, she went to the functional medicine doctor. You are what you eat. Let's not do pharmaceuticals. And she went to him and he says, well, God makes your body good. And if you begin to eat right, you'll self-heal. And I'm listening to that, and I think of it more from a business perspective. So I was scared to go on the regular time. Of course, they're going to find things wrong with me because the more things that are wrong with me, the more money they make.
Yeah, weird how that works.
Yeah, and anyway, so she did get me into functional medicine, but I kind of knew the answer, but I did ask him the question anyway. I said, well, Dr. John, where do you suggest, sourcing this? I know you want us to eat meat without hormones, no nitrates, no antibiotics in the meat. Where do you suggest getting that? He goes, I don't know, buy organic. So at that point I go, I'm taking over. So I already know organic, it could be good, could not be that great. It's a government standard, but what's really important, and that's what we were just discussing previously, which is the holistic and humane treatment of the animals and how we're feeding and raising them.
And we're catching up with Tony Ellsworth of Ellsworth Crossing here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing inside the Pyramid Contractor Studio. What is the biggest struggle facing your industry right now?
I'd say awareness and education, which is becoming less. But like you and I were talking, of course, this gets into what you do too with the local marketing. Yeah. We're a small family business. I don't have, multi-million dollar, even multi-$1,000, advertising budget. We depend on a lot of referrals, word of mouth. Of course, we're on social media, but it's getting the word out and education. So we take a lot of time. Anybody who comes through our front door, I give them we call it a nickel tour. And we'll try wherever they are on the journey, because a lot of people are just beginning to become aware, and they go, hey, I'm starting to read my labels, or I saw this on TV, or I read an article. What's grass-fed beef? What's free-range chicken?
Yeah.
How come all my eggs in the grocery store, I got 12 and they're all bleach white and identical? Is that how eggs are supposed to look? I didn't think so. So anyway,
spoiler alert. No,
right. So to your question, that's our biggest challenge, Jimmy, is getting the word out and education, because we're not looking for one-time buyers. I really call them lifetime customers. Right. So once they find us, they love to come in there because we're willing to help in any way that we can.
I can't help but notice you keep smiling every time you talk about the process. How much do you enjoy the process of what you guys do?
We live it. So you end up, like I had said, the original intention was to do this for my own family. Yeah. And part of it I was completely ignorant to. So I loved getting on the grill, loved the steaks, the burgers, the wings, all this stuff, had bought specialty meat. But I got up over 50 years old, and like I said, started having it's you start having your own aches and pains, and like I said, Amber, my wife, was the brains, and she even because she had a nursing background, and that's right, got to give credit where credit's due. So she. Even herself, when she first talked to a functional medicine doctor, and he said, we're going to have to turn the inside out a little bit here. But she had the good results, and there's science to it too, because people go, how do you know? And I go, well, you do feel better, but they blood verify that too.
I have to ask, how's she doing now?
She's doing great.
Okay, fantastic.
So one of the first things I did with Dean, of course, we're at the store now. We're open Monday through Saturday. The only day we're closed is Sunday. But she's on her feet all day long. Now, that's what I previously told her. She had to quit nursing. And we have tons of people when they come in the store, they go, wow, you guys' skin looks fantastic, this, that, and the other.
You look very healthy for somebody over 50 years old, yeah.
So, and I can tell you this, I feel better at 55 now than I did at 45.
Wow.
We work with several different nutritionists and doctors. That's one aspect. And then we've got the farmers that are in the store, and there's other small businesses. So I enjoy working with people, helping people, but it started in our own family. And I started off as a skeptic.
Right, yeah.
So I'm kind of on the health side. I'm a converted skeptic that understands now. And a lot of times when you mention the word diet, people cringe. I'm like, oh, I
Sure.
can be healthier, but diet.
Yeah.
And I'll say it's a change, but it's actually going to taste
You
better.
can eat what you want if you're monitoring
Yeah,
what
it's
you're
actually
putting
going
in.
to taste better. There's a lot of people read article, they don't fully understand it.
Yeah.
And again, back to what we were talking about before, education, just to give you a couple examples. So like people read an article and it says you need to eat grass finished beef. I get this question probably 10 times a day. That's a big popular thing out there. And really, I explain that most of your beef in Nebraska is all grass fed.
Sure.
We're all grass fed here. So the finish, it's really grass finish or grain finish. It's the last 10, 13%. And I have both. I know I always tell people I don't get in beef arguments. I'll just show you where it is and tell you the quality. So
Right.
we have grass finished beef. I got plenty of grain finished beef. I got bison, I got Wagyu, I got Longhorn, I got all of it. So that's part of the fun of it for me. But we just, we're there to answer questions. We explain, same thing on the chicken side too. What's a free range chicken? A lot of times you go into the store and they say cage free, and I'm always thinking, I sure as heck hope that thing's cage free, because otherwise
sure.
you should be in a
Can you explain to anybody that may be wondering what the difference is between cage free and free range?
Yep, absolutely. So your different levels, free, you got free range, and then you got pasture raised. But back to when I was mentioning too, people ask me, is organic good? To give you an example, Omaha area, a lot of people see some of the organic, chicken at the grocery store, and it'll say cage free. The way chickens should be raised is at a minimum free range. Free range means they're outside. They could still be in maybe a larger fenced area, but they should get sunlight and be outside. And a lot of the stuff that you're getting in the stores, unfortunately, you're talking about big warehouses with there's not hen and chick. They just mass produce the chicks. You see them on this conveyor belt. You could go out on YouTube and look at some of this stuff, but it's more of a factory operation. And
does that go back to the original conversation about healthy animal, healthy meat?
Happy animal, healthy animal. I could tell you, like on our farm, I do Amber's at the store every day, and the girls Saturdays all hands on deck, so we're all there. I do the IT and the accounting and such. So when I'm on the farm, I let our chickens out, and a lot of people can identify with this around here, especially if you're a gardener and whatnot. They run into the Japanese beetle thing. I almost have no Japanese beetles. I use no sprays.
Okay.
It's because I let I have both chickens and ducks, because we do chicken and duck eggs both, but I let them out, and they go around our pasture. Ours are free range and pasture raised, and they go out and they take care of all the Japanese beetles before they even appear. So
Sure.
that's a plus benefit that you get from that, but it's also the healthy thing. We actually have a YouTube video. There's a gal that is a senior down at UNL, and we like to support. We have interns at the store and such now too. I like to support the kids that are coming up that are learning ag, so they can learn it the right way and this sort of thing. But she did a video showing our daughter Kaylin. She gets up 6 a.m. She cleans the water, so we have all fresh water. They get better than organic food, and then they're able to free range. So all of those things that you do. If you have a stress-free environment for them versus stressful, imagine being, cooped up in a warehouse where you don't have enough,
don't see the sun,
where you don't see the sun, and there's not enough room in there, versus where it's, sunlight and grasses, and they're free to roam. And this is true for, not only chickens, but cows, pork, bison, the whole thing. Yeah. So that's how our farmers raise.
What's your favorite thing about what you guys do?
It's really probably helping people.
Sure.
Yeah. I before I did this, I worked in corporate America. I was in the IT and finance. For anybody out there who knows,
same by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was IT project manager, scrum master, got into agile. People know. So just tell maybe a quick funny story. But so when COVID happened, before I bought the store, I was a scrum master. Part of the time for Kiewit, and then Berkshire, Charles Schwab. And I had an office. Of course, when it's spring and fall, I like to open up my windows and let the fresh air in. And being in IT,
couldn't do that.
Yeah, well, being in IT, I got offshore people in India and the coast or whatever, and I'm the scrum master, so I'm the one talking, bringing these guys together, working on projects. And so they're chiming in. I'm hearing in India, you hear cars in the background, honk honk, and you hear this other place, and you hear all these loud crashes. Then Tony's on the phone and goes silent, and all of a sudden you hear rooster crow, and everything else is fine. Everybody just shuts up for a minute. But I love working with people, so that's in some ways I relate it to that. And when you're a scrum master, you got the engineers and the developers on this side here. You got the customers and business, and they talk a different language. You have to be a middleman. So right now in the farm store, it's kind of the same. We have customers, and they're looking for healthy and good tasting solutions. And I have farmers, which really have more of an engineering mindset. And I actually see this take place in a farmer's market or in Facebook, and there's a disconnect. Because when you go talk to a farmer, and I actually did a video called How to Properly Buy a Quarter Cow. Okay. People make this good decision. I'm going to not go to the grocery store. I'm going to go to a Nebraska farmer. So I go to a Nebraska farmer, and then he starts talking hanging weight and 6 months out, and I'm going to throw you over here to the locker, and because that's the language that they talk.
Right, and somebody that isn't in the field doesn't understand what they're saying.
Yeah, and they get confused, and the customer gets confused, and then sometimes they end up with a beef that they didn't totally understand, and now it's in their freezer. They don't like everything that they got there, and so they quit doing it, and they go right back to the grocery store. So we want to help with that process, and that's why I did that video. Again, this is back to education, but it's a lot of what we do. It's not IT anymore, but it's like being a scrum master for farmers.
It's bringing people together and explaining the process. Absolutely. Yep. And again, we're catching up with Tony Ellsworth of Ellsworth Crossing here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing inside the Pyramid Contractor Studio. One thing I want to talk about is we talk to a lot of business owners in this room about the growth of Omaha and how that's benefiting them, and what the expansion of Gretna looks like and the expansion of Elkhorn. When that's happening, it's coming at the expense of farmland in most cases. How has that affected Ellsworth Crossing and some of the farmers that you're doing business with?
Yeah, there is I guess it almost kind of goes back to what we were just talking about. Nebraska has a lot of really good natural resources. A lot of times people would refer to Western Nebraska. They're talking about just something as far as Lincoln. They go, that's Western Nebraska, or a town, the town.
Yeah. And as soon as you hit Doane College, you're basically
I can tell you when you get out to, central Western Nebraska, sometimes they take offense at that. They go, everything's oriented around Omaha and Lincoln, but Nebraska has a vast amount of natural resources and farmland. And what we really need, and that's another reason I got into the business, is I know all those guys out there, all those good farmers and farm families want to get their product into a market. So yes, Omaha and Lincoln are expanding, but I would say is there's plenty of really good available farmland out there. Nebraska has a lot of good natural resources, and they also have a lot of really outstanding people resources, and that encourages me too. I love it when my farmers come in on Saturday, and I see their family, we catch up. And the customers get to meet them, because that's a big part of what we do. So to answer your question, I think we still have more than ample resources. What we need is a go-between. We need to get that Western Nebraska, Central Nebraska, even rural around the Omaha and Lincoln areas, but we need to get it to market, and that's what we help do.
Let me ask you, what is the biggest difference between doing business with somebody like Nebraska Star Beef, that's obviously closer to the Omaha area, versus somebody that maybe be actually in Western Nebraska, past west of Kearney, and out in that range? How much different is the business to business process, if at all?
It's not wildly different. I mean, closer is good. Justin is able to, and I'm talking from Nebraska Star Beef, your reference there.
Sorry,
that's okay.
What's happening with our TVs here? I jinxed it. I said we were just talking yesterday about how this hasn't happened in a month, and it just happened. There we go. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. When they're closer, obviously it helps with deliveries. So we see a lot of our farmers weekly. We've had farmers out in Broken Bow, Ogallala, some distance away. And we we could still market their products. We have them in. Most of the people that are out that far are used to traveling. I've had people ask me, how far is your farm from the store, Tony? I'm like 30, 35 minutes. They're like, whoa, you drive that every day? In my mind, growing up in Fort Callhoun, I'm like,
that's nothing. Yeah,
that's nothing. I mean, a lot of our farmers, they're just used to, they drive, 2-3 hours, even 4 or more.
Some of them roll out of bed and are at work too.
Right. So somebody that's closer, like Nebraska Star Beef in Holdridge, Nebraska, they come in once a week. There may be a little bit more where they're running beefs through or whatever, and they come in once every 2 weeks, once a month, this sort of thing. But it's not a barrier that you can't get through. And when they have their Saturday Farmer Day, they come in here too, so people still get to see the farmers in Western Nebraska.
When we talk about growth for Ellsworth Crossing specifically, where do you want to see this your business grow to locally and maybe even nationally?
Yeah, I think we're probably focused more on the local side, and there's plenty of opportunity for us there. We've owned the store for 3 years. We've grown each of the 3 years. One of the things that's fun and challenging both is we've grown so much. We just hired our first handful of employees. In fact, last night, I don't know if you're familiar with Salted Edge, but if you go look out there, and I'll have it on this weekend, but we're partnered up with Salted Edge, which is a farm-to-table restaurant out in our same area. In fact, we consulted them as they became a business. But we did our first employee dinner there last night. Chef Joel personally served all of our employees.
That's awesome.
And a lot of the things that he talked about, because they do high quality, they do service and attention to detail, and education. These are things that we do in our store. So not only was it a treat for the employees, but they got to see that. So that is what we're doing right now.
That helps them do their job as well.
Right. Yeah. We're growing out this year is our big theme. We're growing out the infrastructure. So Amber runs a lot of the operations, and now she has a handful of employees. So instead of just doing everything herself, she's delegating, and we're teaching employees.
Sure.
So that's on the operations end. On my end, I told you I used to be a Scrum Master. Now I have a Scrum Master.
Sure.
So we've expanded our efforts that way on the IT. And I used to have one accounting guy. Now I got a full service accounting firm. So we're growing bigger at the store. We've expanded, freezer capacity and these sort of things, especially with Thanksgiving coming up. The turkeys take up that's the biggest challenge, I guess. Yeah, because they're large, and it's one time a year, and there's kind of our farmers who they call me in the spring, and they go, "How many turkeys do you want?" Because that's when the baby turkeys are called pullets, and I have to obligate myself in the spring, and so they raise them from the spring, and right now, and we're starting to see these weather reports in Colorado and such.
Sure.
So my farmers in their head are going, I want to butcher and protect everything that I just did.
Right.
And Amber is calling people right now, going, "Hey, could you come pick up that turkey?" And they're like, "Yeah, I'd like to do that in 2 weeks or the day before Thanksgiving." So this is always, we're kind of in the lurch during these weeks, and anybody who has the freezer capacity, that helps. But this year we're preparing ourselves for growth. We have a lot of farmers markets that would like us to have a presence there, and I just need, we need the people resources, really.
Talk to me about the holidays and how big of a deal it is this time of year for what Ellsworth Crossings does.
Yeah, we really have a lot of spikes during the holidays. Thanksgiving, I think, is the most challenging of all of them for the reasons that I was just mentioning. So none of our farmers, nor do we have just tons of capacity for several hundred turkeys. And the reason that people love to get the turkeys, we kind of were touching on free range chicken and this sort of thing. Well, if you're going to buy free range chicken and you want to get away from the hormones and have something raised properly, it's even more important for a turkey.
Sure.
So your growth cycle on it for a meat chicken is 8 weeks, about 8 weeks. On the turkey, as I mentioned previously, it's all the way from spring till now. So it's even more critically important that you get a pasture-raised turkey if you want to eat healthy and you want that good taste quality. But I only get so many. I get a limited number. And like I mentioned, the farmers are butchering right now, and we have them available up at the store, but I don't have capacity for 200 turkeys. So that's Thanksgiving is always a challenge. We're doing that right now. Christmas, a lot of people tend to go to the hams or special beef dishes. Like we do prime rib, we do bone-in ribeyes, we do Wagyu. So we Christmas, and then we also have retail items. We do have like veteran-made flags. We have candles, soaps, handmade goods in the store as well.
Yeah,
not everybody knows that. So Christmas is a big time of year. The other holiday, maybe just touch on 4th of July, is just as big as Christmas for us. Of course, that's more barbecue season.
Yeah.
Memorial Day, Labor Day, football season are all good for tailgating too.
Fantastic. Tony, we're kind of hitting that part where we tend to shut her down for the day. Is there anything about Ellsworth Crossing that we haven't mentioned that people should know about?
No, I don't think so. We're out there. We have our website. Even on the website, you can find a lot of information there. We have some of the YouTube channel highlights and this sort of thing. Of course, we're on Facebook, and we're on Instagram too. And if you follow on there, you can see the new farmers that we pick up when they restock. And every Saturday we have, like I mentioned before, one of those farmers in, and you can see the event that we have going that weekend.
Yeah, check out ellsworthcrossing.com for more details. Follow them across all the social media platforms, the website. Scrolling across the bottom of the screen now, Thanksgiving is coming up, and if you need some local meat for your Thanksgiving dinner, there's no better place than Ellsworth Crossing. Tony, thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Yep, thanks, Jimmy, for having me.
We've got a two for today. Doug from Cross Strain is coming in to talk about their new launch of beers that they're brewing down at Cross Strain in Papillion. We'll be back with him. He's running a little bit late, so we'll see him here in a minute. And if you haven't yet, check out ellsworthcrossing.com now. We'll be right back on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing inside the Pyramid Contractor Studio.
Are you dreaming of your business dominating local Google searches, drawing in customers effortlessly? Look no further. I'm Courtney, the Google gal from Pixel Fire Marketing. Need assistance with your Google business profile? From verification to getting more reviews, fixing maps to tackling annoying Google calls? I've got you covered. Your profile sets you apart and ensures you're the top choice for local customers. Visit fixmygbp.com for our $297 special offer. Visit fixmygbp.com for more details.
When you shop local, you help strengthen our community. So if you need roof repair, gutters, siding, even windows, call local Pyramid Contractors. They're the #1 roofer in Omaha for more than a dozen years. Let Pyramid Contractors come and give you a free estimate. Give them a call at 402-502-9300. That's 402-502-9300. Or visit them online at PyramidRoof.com. Never settle for less.